In this lecture, we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to look at what managerial accounting is. So managerial accounting basically is providing information to help managers. It's the tools that managers need to make their decisions. So it's very different from financial accounting. We won't need to do any kind of journal entries in this class or build any financial statements. Instead, what we're going to focus on is the tools that students need to learn in order to become good managers later. So that's going to be the key to this class and what we're going to focus on. So that's now that we understand kind of what management accounting is all about. Managerial accounting is more about management than it is about financial accounting. As a matter of fact, this class is more of a management class than an accounting class. Even though a lot of students think of this as an accounting class, really it's purely a management class, providing you with tools that we're going to learn that you're going to need for things like setting up costs, making decisions on how much capital you need and where you're going to get the capital, where to put the capital, how to plan for budgets, how to use budgets. So those are all big parts of this course throughout this entire class. So first of all, let's see who is it useful for? For any organization. It's useful for any organization. It's useful for for-profit organizations. It's useful for corporations. It's useful for small businesses. It's useful for non-profits, governments. Basically, any business that has managers is going to need this type of work, and that I assume would mean all students are going to be working for some business as a manager at some point. So that's why it's clearly useful as a business in any business curriculum. Who in the organization or who associated with the organization uses this managerial reports? That's a good question, right? Well, basically internal users. So what we're looking at is people inside the organization, managers and employees that work for the company. The information that are developed in managerial accounting is not for the general public. It's specifically for the management inside the organization. So when we're talking about management, we're talking about three different areas. So managers do these three things within their jobs, and that is planning, directing, and controlling. So this is really just management discussion here. This is not any kind of accounting. Planning is focused on forward thinking. Right, so when you're planning, you want to think about where you want to go. If you were going to, for example, fly an airplane, you would first determine where you would want to go. You would plan out your flight, right? And so this is the same thing with management. They're going to plan out where they want the business to go ultimately. Now, directing is about putting that into play, putting those plans into play, the day-to-day decisions. Right, so that would be if you were the pilot in the plane. Now you have a plan. Now you get in the plan. You follow all the procedures to start it. You put it in the air. You move the control stick to point in the right direction, and you're directing. You're putting the plan into action, and then we're going to finalize this with controlling. So controlling is getting feedback or evaluations, right? In other words, how good of a job are you doing? So when you start your flight, and if you wanted to fly to to Canada, you would point north, but then things might change, and you might need to make adjustments to get you to your destination, right? You probably have some place specific in Canada, so maybe Toronto, and so you have to fly to the northeast from where you are, and so you have to make these adjustments to keep yourself going in the direction that you want to go. And the same thing goes in business. Even though you have a plan, things change, as we all know, and you have to make these adjustments. And so what we're doing in managerial accounting is providing you with the reports that you're going to need as a manager to plan budgets, strategies, hire people, directing, right? How many people do you need? How much material do you need? How much, what kind of building do you need to be in? So we're going to learn about that. And then controlling, and that's getting feedback. What kind of variance do you have from your budget? Are you way off on your budget? Do you need to hire more people than you thought? Do you need to buy material from a different place? So these are all the different areas that we're going to focus on in managerial accounting to become effective managers.